Why does your English sometimes disappear exactly when you need it most? You know the word. You have used it many times. But in the middle of a conversation, it suddenly vanishes. And one small mistake makes you question years of progress. In this episode, you will discover why forgotten words can actually appear when your English is becoming more advanced, why progress often feels worse before it feels better, and the one skill that separates learners who keep growing from learners who freeze. But first, here is the part almost everyone gets wrong. The real damage is usually not the mistake. It is what happens in the next 5 seconds. Imagine you are telling a story in English. It is going well. The other person is listening. You feel natural. Then, one simple word disappears. Not an advanced word, a word you know. Your mouth stops. Your face becomes warm. And while your brain is searching, another voice enters the conversation. Not the other person's voice, yours. Why can't I remember this? I should know this. My English is terrible. Here is the first surprise. Your brain did not stop working. It became busy with 2 different jobs. One part was searching for the word. The other part was judging you for not finding it fast enough. And judgment is expensive. It uses your attention. It creates stress. It makes the missing word even harder to reach. So sometimes, the forgotten word is not the real problem. The real problem is the emergency you create around it. But why can this feel worse after you have studied English for years? Shouldn't more advanced learners feel more confident? Here is something strange. Beginners usually notice what they can do. They remember their first complete sentence, their first conversation, and the first video they understood. Intermediate learners notice what they still cannot do. Your English may be improving while your standards improve even faster. You understand more, so you hear more of your own mistakes. You can express bigger ideas, so simple sentences no longer feel satisfying. This creates a dangerous illusion. I am getting worse. But you may not be getting worse. You may simply be becoming more aware. At the beginning, progress is easy to see. You learn new words. You order food. You introduce yourself. Later, progress becomes quieter. You recover faster. You explain around a missing word. You understand tone. You notice a mistake while speaking and repair it without ending the conversation. These changes are less exciting to measure, but they are much closer to real fluency. And now comes the discovery that changes the meaning of a good conversation. A good conversation is not one without mistakes. It is one that survives them. Confident speakers forget names. They restart sentences. They choose the wrong word and correct it. The difference is not that nothing goes wrong. The difference is that they do not treat every problem like a disaster. They say, "Let me say that again," or "That is not the word I mean," or "I forgot the word, but it is the thing you use for..." Then they continue. This is the skill I mentioned at the beginning: recovery. Fluency is not only speaking smoothly, it is returning to your message after something breaks. But many learners accidentally train themselves to avoid recovery. They choose safe sentences, safe topics, and sometimes safe silence. Their grammar may sound cleaner, but the world they can express becomes smaller. Real growth begins when your idea is slightly bigger than your current English, and you try to express it anyway. That strange sentence you created may be evidence that your mind was solving a new problem. That long pause may mean your brain was searching through several possibilities. What sounds messy from the outside can be intelligent work on the inside. But not every mistake automatically creates improvement. Here is what matters. What do you do after it? If you only feel ashamed, your brain begins connecting English with danger. If you notice the pattern, correct it, and try again, the mistake becomes useful information. Imagine you say, "Yesterday I go to the office." Later you notice it. Instead of thinking, "My grammar is terrible," you think, "Interesting. When I speak quickly, I forget the past form."
Now you have something specific to practice, not your entire English. One pattern. The mistake is no longer a verdict on your ability. It becomes a message showing you what to work on next. Here is another thing learners often forget. Speaking English is physical. You can understand a sound perfectly and still struggle to produce it. Your tongue, lips, breath, jaw, and rhythm must learn movements they may not use in your first language. So when pronunciation feels strange, your mouth is not betraying you. It is learning new coordination. Understanding a sound is like recognizing a dance. Speaking is performing it with your own body. Knowledge may already be there. The physical movement is still catching up. And now we reach one of the cruelest parts of language learning. One mistake can erase an entire successful conversation from your memory. You spoke for 15 minutes. The other person understood you. You shared a story. Maybe you even made them laugh. But on the way home, your mind repeats one wrong preposition. The conversation was successful, but your memory edits everything except the mistake. So after your next conversation, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what did I communicate successfully? Second, what did I attempt that was slightly beyond my comfort zone? Third, what is one small pattern I want to practice next? Not 10 mistakes, one pattern. This allows you to keep the lesson without keeping the punishment. And here is the final discovery. The clearest sign that your English is improving may not be that you make fewer mistakes. It may be that you recover from them faster. At first, one mistake destroys the next 5 minutes. Later, it destroys one sentence. Eventually, you correct it, smile, and continue before fear has time to take control. That is your brain changing, not into a perfect machine, but into a more flexible speaker. So, the next time a simple word disappears, notice the silence. It is not empty. Your brain is searching. When a sentence comes out strangely, do not ask only, "Was that correct?" Ask, "What was I brave enough to attempt?" Because mistakes are not always the opposite of fluency. Sometimes they are the place where fluency is being built. The real goal is not to speak without ever breaking a sentence. It is to trust yourself enough to rebuild it while another person is listening. One day, a word that once disappeared will arrive without effort. A sentence that once felt impossible will leave your mouth naturally. You may not even notice when it changes. But before that moment, there will be pauses, wrong words, and imperfect conversations. Now you know what they can mean. Not that you are behind, not that you are failing, that your English is reaching beyond what is already easy and learning how to return.